Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh. Welcome to the segment of Coach Gurbani's a-sabad-a-day. The recitation is the third sabad in Vadhans Mahalla Chotha, composition of the fourth Nanak. This is the third in that sequence. And it is a fairly long sabad, comparatively speaking, to the ones that we've been doing, has 6 stanzas. And the recitation, stanza by stanza, Vadhans Mahalla Chotha, Kar Duja, Ik Oankar Satgur Prasad. मैं मन वड्डी आस हरे, क्यों कर हर दर्शन पावा। हव जाए पूछा अपने सतगुरै, गुर पूछे मन मुग्ध समझावा। भूला मन समझे गुर सबदी, हर हर सदा त्याइये। नानक जिस नदर करे मेरा प्यारा, सो हर चरणी चित लाए। So in my mind, the Guru says, in my mind, main man, and the man is a verb here, meaning in my mind, is a great expectation. Aas, Vaddi Aas, is a great expectation, which is always there. Aas Hare. It also means a desire for that evergreen consciousness, higher consciousness. Kyun kar har darsan pawa? How do I experience that higher consciousness? Darsan is both visual as well as knowledge. How do I attain to that higher consciousness? In other words, how do I break my ego conditioning? And what do? I go to my guide. How jaye pucha apne satgura. So this is in the past tense. I went to my guide, my teacher, the true enlightener. How jaye pucha apne satgura. And then gur puch, having asked the Satgur, in other words, having received instruction from the Guru, man mugd samajama, the mind which was intoxicated, inebriated, or let's say not aware, asleep, samajama, it begins, I could goad my mind with the instruction of the Guru. And then Pula man samjhe, gur sabdi. So the mind that is asleep or having gone astray, the mind that is not aware of this of its own higher consciousness, it begins to react to the sabad of the Guru, because the sabad of the Guru conceals in it this knowledge that the mind requires. Hara hara sadatyaye. And through that process, it begins to become increasingly mindful until it reaches a point where it is always mindful. That is to say, it becomes imbued with the wisdom. Nanak jis nadar kare mera pyara, so har charni chit laiye. This is a matter of grace. And grace and knowledge go hand in hand. This is an iterative process that the Guru is describing to us in the first verse. The second one, how sabbe ves kari pir karan, je har prabh sache pawa, so pir pyara main nadar na dekha, how kyun kar tiraj pawa. जिस कारण हव सिगार सिगारी, सो पिर रत्ता मेरा अवरा। नानक धन 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 सुहागन, जिन पिर रावड़या सच सवरा. So the Guru speaks here about the various methods and the various processes various attempts that were made. And he's speaking from the perspective of the various religious contexts. How sabbe ves kari. Ves is related to attire and practice of various religious sects. He says, for the sake of this higher consciousness, I would adopt any attire and practice if only it were pleasing to my husband. Je har prabh sache pawa. But if the beloved does not cast a glimpse at me, so pir pyara main nazar na dekhi, how can I find any rest? How kyun kar tiraj pawa? What he is critiquing is the fact that these various methods and processes just haven't worked. Because he says, for whose sake I adorn myself, jis karan how sigar sigari, in other words, I adopted a certain way, religious practice, that beloved loves something else. So pir ratta mera avara. What he's saying is that the wearing of religious attire, the practice, the ritualistic practice of religion is not what this consciousness is all about. It is about virtue. Nanak dhan, this wealth, dhan dhan sohagan. Blessed is the virtuous soul bride who enjoys the company of the eternal spouse. That wealth, that richness is the cultivation of one's mind, to mature the mind through the development of virtue. The third verse, Hum jaye pucha sohag sohagan, tusi kyun pir paiyada prabh mera, मैं ऊपर नदर करी फिर साचे मैं छोड़ी अड़ा मेरा तेरा सब मन तन जियो करो हर प्रभ का इत मार्ग भैणे मिलिए आपनड़ा प्रभ नदर कर देखे नानक जोत ज्योति रलिए. So the questioning shifts now to the Suhagan. So the Guru is also a Suhagan because it has attained that state of consciousness. So he's saying, I went, how jai, and asked the fortunate soul brides. This is the same way, the same thing as saying, I asked the Guru. How did you find the beloved spouse? Tusi kyon pir pyara prabh mera? Prabh mera, because we know that the self is within all of us. How did you find it? How did you get to that state of consciousness? And the answer was by surrendering everything, sab, mind and body, indeed my very being, sab manatana jiyo. Sab manatana jiyo karo har prabh ka, by giving, surrendering. It marg pehne miliye. This is how you can find the self, the har. This is the path to the master. And grace will smile upon you when chodiyada mera tera, when you give up this distinction. It's made possible when the distinction of I and you is relinquished. Main chodiyada mera tera. And that is when grace happens. Appanada prabh nadar kar dekha. And then wisdom will illuminate the mind. Nanak jyot jyoti raliya. That's the process. It's dissolving the ego, essentially. The fourth stanza, Jo har prabh ka main de sneha, tis manatan apna deva, nit pakha feri sev kamawa, tis aage pani ਢੋਵਾਂ. ਨਿਤ ਨਿਤ ਸੇਵ ਕਰੀ ਹਰ ਜਨ ਕੀ ਜੋ ਹਰ ਹਰ ਕਥਾ ਸੁਣਾਏ ਧਨ ਧਨ ਗੁਰੂ ਗੁਰ ਸਤਗੁਰ ਪੂਰਾ ਨਾਨਕ ਮਨ ਆਸ ਪੁਜਾਏ. So here is essentially saying that whoever gives me this message, this awareness of the Har of the consciousness, and this is essentially the Guru, Jo Har Prabh ki main de sneha. I shall offer my mind and body. This manatan apana dema. So you have to submit to the Guru's teachings. I shall do their bidding, meaning I will do whatever the Guru asks me to do. Nit nit sev kari har jan ki, jo har har katha sunaye. I shall serve the devotees of the Har Self. Here, the pointer is to the Guru, because they have narrated the discourse of the divine, jo har har katha sunaye. I shall be in their service. I will fan them, pakha pheri. I will be their water carrier. In other words, I will be at their disposal not only physically to take care of their physical comforts, but mentally as well. And then in the 5th verse, the Guru now talks about the Guru principle. Gur sajjan mera mel hare, jit mil har naam te awa. Gur satgur pason har gosht puchha, kar sanji har gun gawa. Gun gawa nit nit sada har ke, man jeeve naam sun tera. Nanak jit vela visare mera swami, tit vela mar jaye jio mera. So the Guru is the friend, is the guide. Meeting the Guru, I learned to meditate and reflect on wisdom, har naam te aave. And that wisdom united me with my har, mel har. So I asked the Guru to discourse on the self, to tell me, har goshati pucha, the dialogue with the Guru. And the Guru shares its wisdom, which I then wear and adopt as virtues. Kar sanji, the Guru shares har gunagama, and I now sing to the praise, singing meaning eventually embodying that wisdom. Now my mind is changed because Naam is transformative knowledge. Man jeeve Naam sunatera. Now my mind is awakened. It's alive. It is guided by wisdom. And Gunagama Nit Nit Sadharike. My actions are reflected by my virtues. So Nanak says, in the moment that I forget my master, meaning in my ego, Jit Vela Visara Mera Swami, that moment I'm actually dead. Tit Vela Mar Jai Jio Mera. I'm not alive because I'm disconnected from the spirit. And in conclusion, Har Vekhan ko sab koi locha. Everyone longs for a vision of the Har Self. Everyone wants to see it. Har Vekhan ko sab koi locha. So vekha jis aap vikhale. So vekha. Only they can actually attain to this consciousness who are gifted with grace. This is a gift. This comes. It's unspoken. It's unprompted. You can't prompt it. It's not like prompting a code to happen. It's unprompted. It happens. You have to be relaxed. Like you can't go to sleep by forcing it to happen. And upon whom the glance of grace is cast, jisno nadar kare mera pyara, that person receives this revelation. So har har sada samale. Revelation because it unfolds itself within your mind. It wasn't obvious to you first, but it reveals itself and then you become aware of it. But grace is possible only if the true enlightener intercedes and instructs the mind. So har har naam sada sada samale, jis satgur pura mera milya. There's the condition, the precondition. The presence of the Satgur is the catalyst that is needed by the mind to awaken to itself. It needs that agency of the Satgur. Then you become self-realized. Devotees of the self become self-realized through the agency of the Satguru. Vaheguru Ji ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji ki Fateh.